All right, so here in Module 2 of the Egg Launch project, we're looking at analyzing tables so that we can find the vertex and solutions or zeros to a quadratic function that you have given to you in the form of a table. So for this specific problem that I'm going to demonstrate, we are looking at a table right here. So here are your x values and here are your y values. And the way that we're going to analyze this by using a graph is to take this table that we were given and put it onto a graph. So we're going to actually plot each of these points. So my first point here is 3, 5. Okay, so this is coordinate number 1. So I am going to go over 3, 1, 2, 3, and up 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to put a point right there on my graph. Okay, so I'm going to continue doing this with all of the different points on the graph here. Okay, so I've got 2, 0, so I'm going over 2 and up 0, so there's my second point. I'm going over 1 and down -3, 1, 2, 3. There's another point. I have 0, -4, so I'm going over 0, down -4. Okay, I'm going over -2, up 0. Oops, I missed one, sorry. I have to go over -1 and down 3. Forgot that one. And then last but not least, I'm going over -3 and up 5. Now, if this plotting coordinates is not something that you're familiar with, you probably want to check out the skill builder that is in the Math Connections area about plotting coordinate points before you move on any further with this project, because that is a very important part of what you're going to do here. So once we have all of our points plotted, we can connect it to make our parabola. And the way that it looks is not important. See, mine is crooked and the line is not straight, but that's okay because we can still see the things we need to see. So what we're interested in is our vertex, which we can tell is right here. Okay. And we are also interested in our solutions, which are the points where the graph crosses your x-axis. And don't forget, the horizontal axis is your x-axis. So this is your x-axis, so it crosses here and here. Okay, so to give the information that we want about this graph, we can say that our vertex is at this point here, which is over 0, and we go down -4. That's the coordinates of that point. So that is our vertex. And we can tell that it is a minimum because it's at the bottom of our parabola. So it's a minimum. Okay, and then we can see that our solutions are here and here. These are also known as the zeros of our graph. Okay, so this one is -2. We go over -2 and up 0. That's one solution. And the other one is over 2 in the positive direction and up 0. Okay, so our solutions are -2, 0 and 2, 0. So that is one method of finding the information that you need. Now, another way we could do this is we could just skip the graphing part, which probably makes you really excited because it's less work for you. But you're going to have to be a little better at recognizing some things about the table that you're given. So, for example, if I looked at this table all alone, I'm going to pull it up again. Okay. If I look at this table all alone, if I wanted to just look at the table and be able to pick out these points, I would have to recognize a few things. Okay, first of all, I'd have to pick out the vertex. And I know from practice that this is the vertex right here. The reason I can tell that is because I have this y value of -4. And on every side of it, I see the values start repeating themselves. So on this side, on one away from the -4, I've got -3s. 2 away, I've got 0s. 3 away, I've got 5s. So that is showing me that this is the middle point on the graph. This point does not repeat. that means it's the vertex. Okay, so I know that that's my vertex. Now I need to know if it's a maximum or a minimum. To do this, I'm going to look at my y values. Okay, since my y values are 5, 0, -3, -4, and then they start repeating, my vertex of -4 here is the lowest number out of all of those. It's less than -3, it's less than 0, it's less than 5. That tells me that my vertex of 0, -4 is a minimum. Okay, so that's the first thing we want to look at. Secondly, we need to know our solutions. Okay, so to find our solutions, this is kind of tricky too. Your solutions on your graph are where they cross the x-axis, meaning that they don't go up or down at all. So a coordinate point that doesn't go up or down at all has a y value of 0. So your solutions, or your zeros, are going to be the points on your table where your y values are 0. Okay, so solutions are where y equals 0. So these are our two solutions, here and here. So while this is easier and requires a little less work, I would definitely steer you towards the method of graphing it, because when you have that visual representation of your parabola, it's much easier to pick out your vertex and your zeros and determine if it's a minimum or a maximum. Now keep in mind, there's one other thing that can happen here, and that is that your graph might not cross the x-axis at all. In that case, you're still going to have a vertex, and it's going to be a maximum or a minimum. But if it doesn't cross the x-axis, your function has no solutions, no real solutions. Similarly, it could just cross the x-axis at one point. In that case, it's only going to have one solution. So that is pretty much all you need to know to move on and do the checkpoint for this section.